Hello everyone, my name is Shujat, and in this particular video I will be talking about a historical figure, a very important historical individual who in my opinion isn't talked about a whole lot, at least not to the extent or not to the degree that he deserves to be talked about, not to the length that he has earned the right to be discussed or to be talked about. The historical figure, the individual that I am talking about is none other than Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, many people, overwhelming majority of the population does in fact know who Abraham Lincoln was. If you ask 10 random people on the street who Abraham Lincoln is, I would say at the very least 8 out of those 10 individuals would reply and say that yes, in fact, Abraham Lincoln was a president of USA, he was a president of America, but that's pretty much all that most people, a large majority, a large portion of people know about Abraham Lincoln. That's all that people know when it comes to the figure, when it comes to the individual Abraham Lincoln. Growing up, obviously, I knew, personally speaking, who Abraham Lincoln was. I knew, in fact, that he was a president, but I didn't knew anything else. All I knew was he was a good guy, he was a great dude. But there's a lot more to the individual Abraham Lincoln than what most people know. And in this particular video, I will be sharing the life story. I will be narrating the biography of the individual Abraham Lincoln. So, a little context, a little backstory, a bit of a background behind me making this video, and why Abraham Lincoln, why not any other individual? Well, quite recently, I had the opportunity, the chance, the privilege, and the blessing to have access to get my hands on a handful of, a couple of books that were biographies of Abraham Lincoln. And all of those biographies, all of those books were written by very legitimate, credible, learned writers slash authors. So all the information that I will be sharing in this video, it's not just all the information that's available on the internet. It's all the information that I gathered and I extracted after reading all of those books, after going through all of those biographical books of Abraham Lincoln. So yeah, here's the life story, here's the biography of the individual Abraham Lincoln. So who was Abraham Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln was, to be specific, to be exact, to be precise, the 16th president of USA, or the 16th president of America. He was born in the year 1809 in Kentucky, USA, in Kentucky, America. And yeah, he was born in a very, very poor, poor as in economically, financially, in a very poor household. He was born to a very poor family. Both of his parents, his mother as well as his father, were poor financially, and yeah, it's safe to say that his parents, as in his mother and his father, his mother as well as his father, were not rich. So yeah, Abraham Lincoln wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He was born to a very poor family. He was brought up in a very poor household, economically and financially speaking. But Abraham Lincoln, ever since he was a kid, from his childhood, had this tendency, had this inclination, had this habit of reading, of educating himself, of studying. Abraham Lincoln was obsessed with studying. Abraham Lincoln always used to read books. He was very fond of reading books. If anything, book reading was Abraham Lincoln's favorite pastime. That was his favorite hobby. That was his favorite thing to do, favorite activity to perform, book reading. So educating himself, studying, Abraham Lincoln used to do that a whole lot. He used to read about, he used to study, and he used to educate himself on a whole vast array, a wide range of subjects, from maths to astronomy to poetry. You name it, Abraham Lincoln has had studied about it and has read a book or two on any topic, any subject that you can think of. And Abraham Lincoln was very well versed, and he was very well educated on a whole host, a wide array and a wide range of subjects. And yeah, it was all thanks to this that in the year 1836, again I repeat, in the year 1836, Abraham Lincoln was able to clear and pass the bar exam of USA, of America, and he went on to become an official licensed lawyer. And yeah, Abraham Lincoln passed and cleared the bar exam, and yeah, he became a legitimate, credible, official licensed lawyer in the year 1836. And that was a little bit of his initial life story, initial phase, initial portion, initial part of his biography. So talking about his hobbies, obviously book reading, education and studying, that was his favorite thing to do. That was his number one hobby. Other than that, interestingly, surprisingly, Abraham Lincoln was very much interested in wrestling. Abraham Lincoln used to wrestle professionally well throughout his 20s. And yeah, Abraham Lincoln was a very good, solid wrestler. There's this famous popular story that I read and I came across, which stated that he was able to overpower and defeat a very well-renowned, a very legit, a very credible wrestler. Abraham Lincoln was able to stand toe to toe against him. The other wrestler that I'm talking about, he had close to a undefeated, unbeaten record. So yeah, just goes to show how good of a wrestler, how solid of a wrestler Abraham Lincoln was. Other than wrestling, Abraham Lincoln was very much interested and very much fond of music. He was particularly a very big fan of Mozart. So yeah, Abraham Lincoln, those were a few of his hobbies. And other than the hobbies, a few of his characteristics, a few of his personality traits. Abraham Lincoln embodied and personified the habits, the characteristics, the personality traits that any conventional, orthodox or traditional person or individual would expect. Abraham Lincoln was a teetotaler. If the audience doesn't know who a teetotaler is an individual who doesn't drink alcohol, who doesn't consume alcohol, liquor, all other types of alcoholic beverages. So Abraham Lincoln abstained from alcohol, and he did not consume any sort of other drugs, and he was not on any sort of other substance. So Abraham Lincoln was a teetotaler. He did not consume, he never consumed drugs, substances, and yeah, he abstained from alcohol as well. Other than that, Abraham Lincoln, talking about his physical traits, Abraham Lincoln was, in fact, quite tall. He was 6'4". 6'4", that's quite tall. So, yeah, other than that, I'm gonna briefly talk about his religious beliefs. Abraham Lincoln was a firm believer in God. He did believe in a God. He was a monotheist, as in he believed in one intervening God, but he wasn't a follower, or he wasn't a believer of any organized religion. So that's surprisingly quite uncommon and pretty rare for a US president. So yeah, he very quickly, talking about his marital life. Abraham Lincoln had started seeing and he had started dating a pretty wealthy, a very awesome, and a very educated woman by the name of Mary Todd. Now, who was Mary Todd? Mary Todd was born to a very, very rich, a very, very wealthy, as in financially and economically, uh, monetarily speaking, to a very poor, a very rich, very wealthy family, and she was brought up in a very, very well-off household. She hailed and she came from a very well-off family household. She had a very, very rich, wealthy, well-off background, and yeah, she was very educated. She used to attend royal, prestigious, and elite schools. And Mary Todd had years and years of formal schooling, formal education under her belt. So that was all about Mary Todd. Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd ended up getting married, and both of them had 4 kids, had 4 children. So yeah, that was a bit about his marital life. Just sticking to the topic, just on the topic of characteristics and Abraham Lincoln's personality traits, one other important thing that I feel the need to lay emphasis on, and I feel the need to point it out, is that Abraham Lincoln had nailed, and he had close to perfected, the very fine, thin, delicate balance of being a very humble, kind, down-to-earth individual, as well as a very strong, a very tough sort of individual. Abraham Lincoln was very humble, very kind, very sweet, very easygoing. But at the same time, Abraham Lincoln was the kind of individual who you wouldn't wanna be on the bad side of. You wouldn't wanna cross a line with Abraham Lincoln, and yeah, you wouldn't wanna mess with Abraham Lincoln. That's the kind of individual Abraham Lincoln was. Now, what was his what were his goals, what was his mission. On the topic of his mission and his goals, Abraham Lincoln had primarily two major goals or missions. His first goal or mission was to preserve the Union. When I say the Union, I mean the USA or America. The Union, as in USA or America, was very close, was dangerously close to splitting up and breaking apart into North and into South. Abraham Lincoln did not wanted that to happen, and he was willing to do anything to prevent that split up from happening, to prevent that breaking apart from taking place. And yeah, he did not wanted the Union to split up and break apart by any means necessary. And his second life goal, his second mission or goal was to abolish slavery. Slavery was very widespread, and it was practiced all across the USA, all across America. And yeah, it was a common practice and it was a norm in USA, in America. And yeah, Abraham Lincoln wanted to abolish slavery, and Abraham Lincoln wanted to eliminate slavery. And yeah, Abraham Lincoln was able to achieve both of his life goals, and he was able to tick off both of his missions. Abraham Lincoln was able to preserve the Union, as in have the USA stay in one piece, not have America break apart. And Abraham Lincoln was able to abolish and eliminate slavery. So yeah, that was Abraham Lincoln. Uh, Talking about his death, just before talking about his death, another hobby of Abraham Lincoln was to consume theater. Abraham Lincoln was very much into plays. He used to regularly, he used to avidly watch and view plays in theaters. And yeah, just after the completion, just after the end, just after the completion of his first presidential term, and just at the start of his second presidential term, Abraham Lincoln had attended a Shakespeare play in a theater which went by the name of Ford's Theater, which goes by the name of Ford's Theater. And yeah, Abraham Lincoln was shot. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by an individual whose name was John Wilkes Booth. John Booth had shot Abraham Lincoln at the back of his head, and he had assassinated Abraham Lincoln. So that was the portion in regards to the death of the individual Abraham Lincoln. So yeah, that was all that I can remember from the top of my head. That was all. This is all that I can recollect about in regards to regarding the individual Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, in my humble, strong, in my subjective opinion, he is one of the most influential, one of the most greatest, one of the most successful individuals, not just in the history of USA, not just in the history of America, but in the history of the entire world. And he is one of the few individuals, one of not many, not many, one of the handful of, one of the couple of, one of the few individuals who I really look up to and who I really aspire to be like. So Abraham Lincoln had a indomitable will. Now, what is an indomitable will? Indomitable will is the kind of will that kind of individual possesses, who refuses to give up, who never gives up, who has an unyielding resolve, uh, and who isn't willing to give in to life's difficulties, and he doesn't surrender, uh, or she doesn't surrender, and that individual never gives up, never loses hope, never gives up on faith, and never gives up, never gives up. And that was the type of individual that Abraham Lincoln was. So, yeah, that was all in regards to the historical individual Abraham Lincoln. That was pretty much it. I had a very fun time. I had a very good, fulfilling time recording this video and narrating and sharing uh, Abraham Lincoln's life story and narrating Abraham Lincoln's biography. So that was it for this video, for this particular video. That's it. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.